Hey friends, welcome back to your virtual studio. Let's do a quick shoulder tune-up, all right? Especially when your upper back gets a little achy, maybe you've been sitting or kind of hunched over on the phone for a while, and you know how there's sometimes a little tingly, achy stuff in between the shoulder blades. We're gonna target some of that, and we're gonna start on the ground. I'm gonna come into a back lying position. I'm just going to take a moment here to get comfortable with my breath, get comfortable on my back. How much does the upper back need to move a little bit? How much do we want to adjust? And then let's start to find the pelvis. We'll tilt the pelvis forward and back. Just greeting the spine first. When we think of connecting to the upper body is deeply connected and intertwined with our spine. So we're going to start with the spine and work our way up. From this pelvic tilting, let's stay in the posterior tilt so our lower back can maintain itself, kind of hugged onto the floor. And then what is it like to hold that position and still breathe? I have my hands around my lower belly. You're welcome to explore what that feels like. So just a little bit of feedback while our lower back is hugging the mat. Can we still feel the breath moving into the belly and even into the width of the trunk? So think of a horizontal breath. And we're also using this as a way to kind of stretch out the diaphragm muscle, even the muscles in between the rib cage. So if you want to play for a moment with really expanding your inhale, hi kitty, with really I forgot she was in here, and then really exhaling and contracting those muscles to let this be also about the diaphragm and all these little muscles that are also connected to your spine and to the space of your upper back. Now let's move a little bit more. Let's begin to segment the spine, tilting the pelvis backwards even more, hugging the feet downward, pointing the tailbone towards the backs of the knees as little by little different segments of the spine begin to rise. And we're gonna bring the upper segment back down, middle back, lower back. There goes Kitty exploring, jumping on my desk. And we're going to continue here, forward and back. Or I should say up and down. I said forward and back because this also feels a little bit like cat and cow. So if you're seated and moving your spine forward and back, this is very similar. Hi, Mama. Kitty wants some attention. Good. Let's see if the last few of these spinal articulations we can do with the arms lifted up over the head. So the next time you lift the pelvis, let your arms come up. Keep them there as you continue to explore your spine back down. Just notice how this feels for the upper back or the space around the shoulders. Let's pause the next time we find a little lift in our bridge pose. Just holding that bridge for an extra breath, pressing the legs downward into the ground to support this shape. And slowly come back down. Let's hug the knees up towards the chest. Take a little pause, maybe a little rock. And then we're going to take the head off the floor here. We're going to take a nice little breath. Tuck the chin. What is it like to lift the head, forehead aiming towards the knees? Not necessarily to touch, just aiming in that direction. Maybe tuck the chin a little bit more. Lower back down. And let's do that one more time. Lift the head, tucking the chin, forehead towards the knees. And then you're welcome to move the neck left and right here. So we're getting a little bit into the muscles right at the upper back, our neck extensors, our neck supporters. Good. Feel free to pause again, but keep the head lifted. Lower when you need to, of course. And slowly come down. Release the feet. Let's turn towards a tabletop position. Take your time here in this tabletop. So just kind of rocking the body in all sorts of ways. This way we kind of greet the wrists, we greet the hips, we let our knees find some hinging and exploration. And then let's find a little stillness in our tabletop, really pressing the ground away here. Bring your mind's eye to your sternum and let your sternum, your breastbone, lower a little bit in between your arms and shoulder blades. So our shoulder blades might be squeezing together. And then push the ground away to squeeze the sternum upwards, or rather to squeeze the arms downward so that the sternum lifts, separating the shoulder blades. And now we're just retracting the shoulder blades a couple of times, pressing away, squeezing together. Let's take a little pause. Send the right leg back behind you. Try to maintain the energy. So I'm actually going to tuck the tail a little bit to reduce the urge to move into a back bend when we lift the leg off the floor. So as I lift the leg, I'm almost resisting the urge to lift it by slightly pointing the tail down. But then I'm going to still work on lifting the leg a little higher. And all we're doing is not going into a back bend, right? So by trying to point the tail down, but also trying to lift the leg, we're finding some nice equal play here. Probably some intentional tension is occurring around the core. We're going to shift some weight to the right hand and let the left arm reach forward into table balance. Fingertips or toes, any one of these limbs can be on the floor. And see if you switch sides, nice and controlled. So slowly the leg goes down, slowly the arm goes down. We switch sides. I'm already starting to tuck the tail and play with a little self-resistance as I lift my leg. I'm resisting, but I'm lifting. Once there's that sense of lift, so it almost feels like a hollow shape around the front of the trunk, we're going to send the opposite arm forward. So it almost feels more like cat pose than cow pose. Instead of a big back bend, we're reducing the urge of the back bend. Good. We're going to set the hand down, bring the knees down, take a little pause in your kneeling position, unload, shrug, and move the wrists because we're coming back to tabletop. Good. Nice and easy here. We return to tabletop position. We're going to bring the right arm forward, up by the ear, move it out to the side. Find an internal rotation to reach behind you. Circling the arm, we're going to find the end of the movement, maybe somewhere by our knee, and then lift again. Try to keep this super, super stable in the arm. Try to bring a lot of tension into your core. Bring the hand down so that it's not a big dance of the whole body. So if the trunk is really tense and strong, then your opposite arm, again, you're going to move through a controlled shoulder articulation, a controlled circle where we're not borrowing from the rib cage or from the spine. So just the arm. Let's see if we do that one more time. Try not to cut any corners. Try to really reach through every little corner of your range of motion. Reach, reach. Good. Slowly, we're going to come down onto the belly next. Take a little moment here to maybe soften the arms, maybe relax a little bit, take the legs out. You can rest forehead onto your hands. Lift the gaze, and let's bring the legs just a little bit closer together here. So instead of like totally relaxed and spread apart, hug them back just a little closer together. They don't necessarily need to be hugging so much right now, but just about hip width distance. Your arms are going to come out to a T shape. Sternum is still nice and low onto the ground. So sternum is on the mat right now. I'm going to lower my head, and you're welcome to bring your forehead onto the mat. I'm probably going to hover my head a little bit more just so that you can still hear me, right? But you're welcome to come as low as you'd like, as long as your neck isn't doing a lot of work here. So I'm just going to tuck the chin, point the forehead down, and then lift both arms up by retracting your shoulder blades or squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then lower back down. A couple of times here. Squeeze shoulder blades, lift, and lower. And notice as you lower, can you try to even reach out further, right? So let this be a movement for your shoulder blades. Squeeze them together, and then feel as they walk apart. Good. Take a little pause, rest. Relift your gaze. This time, send your arms forward, almost like a little V shape. And your head can still be down, but I'm going to maybe invite you now to lift it a little bit more. Just tucking the chin. Now the forehead is off the ground, still relatively low. Feet are nice and strong, hugging the mat. So try not to let the legs be relaxed here. Let's reach with our fingertips. Bend your elbows, create a little W, and then reach back up. Leave the upper body as it is, just move the arms, reaching up. Bend the elbows into your W. Try to feel the shoulder blades now dancing downwards, and then they glide and crawl upwards, and then we squeeze them down. Last one. This time here, come back to your T shape. Turn the head to one side this time. Maybe it's left, maybe it's right. Take a pause, take a rest. Turn your cheek to the other side. What does that feel like? Or turn your head to the other side. Place the opposite cheek on the mat. And so sometimes you might feel a little stretch around the neck, around the upper part of the shoulders. We're going to come back to center. The head is going to stay down, or maybe the chin just stays nice and tucked so that the upper back is no longer a part of this. The arms are going to lift just about the height of the shoulders. They're hovering off the ground. And then we're going to bend the elbows like cactus arms, if you will. From here, we're going to think of an external rotation in the arms where the back of your hands wants to lift upwards towards the ceiling, right? I'm going to keep my head down. I'm going to find an internal rotation where my elbows point up and my fingertips hit the mat. And then I'm going to find an external rotation again, an internal rotation. External rotation. Let's keep the external rotation, but extend your elbows. So when you extend your elbows, can your palms stay facing up or in the upward direction? So there's that external rotation. Internal rotation of the arm bones. External. One more internal. And then as you externally rotate, Reach the arms up, V shape over the head. Bring your gaze up, slight baby cobra. Elbows down, lift your heart even higher. Legs come up, locust variation. Squeeze the legs, maybe the arms reach back. You're welcome to stay here for a beat, or you can bend your knees, finding perhaps a reverse bow variation. So I'm going to have hands around my ankles. I'm going to squeeze ankles into my hands, hands into the ankles, resisting but pushing, resisting but extending. Slowly release. When you're ready, you can either rest on your belly, or you might move with me towards an extended child's pose variation here, letting the arms and fingertips lengthen, maybe allowing the pelvis to feel heavy against the heels, and softening the forehead down. If the pelvis doesn't quite come down to the heels, we can place a block and let the pelvis rest heavy on the block. The forehead might also rest on a block or on a blanket. Feel free to stay there for as long as you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and come up towards a seat and just digest my practice here. We might take a final twist. You can take a twist on the floor if you'd like to. I'm just going to turn a little towards the left. Whether you're lying down or sitting up, just notice the breath. If you're taking a twist, we can feel parts of the trunk being compressed, but we still move the breath through that compression. And gently to the other side. Back to center. Take a breath. Observe your energy now. Feel free to go back through any of the movements that we've just gone through, or you might simply get comfortable on your back. Any final thing you'd like to do here. I will send you off back to your practice, back to your day. Thanks for checking in on your shoulders with me. All right, have a good one.